Hey everyone, Kris from the Brothers Take here. I hope you all had a really good holiday period. Happy New Year. And this is not the first official podcast episode of the Brothers Take for 2024. That will be coming next week. All three brothers will be back in the room to catch up. Let you all know what we got up to over the holidays and then start talking about gaming for 2024. And we'll have weekly episodes, so make sure you're following the podcast for that. But this is not the first episode of the year. Rather, this is my own personal epilogue, looking back on my top 5 favorite games of 2023. I have to say, I got this idea from Last Call Gaming. Make sure to go over, subscribe to that podcast, check them out. They're great guys. They do a great show, and we actually collaborated with them a couple of times last year. But they did a segment called The Tops, and they did their top 5 games 2023, and I was like, you know what, I want to do my top 5 games 2023, looking back before we move forward into the new year. And 2023 was just like a crazy year for games. So many great games came out, so it could be hard to whittle it down, and I think some of these, my top 3 will remain the same. The others I can see moving from time to time, but what I want to do first is give my honourable mentions for ones that nearly made it into the top 5, but just didn't quite make it, right? So first honourable mention must go to Final Fantasy 16. This was a great game. The graphics were amazing. The music score was incredible. And there was just great characters and overall a great story. However, one of the reasons it didn't make it into the top 5 is I felt the pacing was hurt by, there was an awful lot of main missions that felt like side missions. There were side missions that felt like main missions, and it dragged towards the latter half of the game to a point where it lost its momentum for me. But the beginning is incredible, and I would say the first half of the game is absolutely like amazing. And I was like, if I had to maintain that momentum, it definitely would have made top 5, but it kind of lost its momentum after that point. But a great journey with great spectacle, amazing boss fights, and a cool battle system. I don't think it was as good as Final Fantasy VII Remake, but a good battle system all the same. Interested to see what they do with the DLCs. I still have to check those out. But Final Fantasy 16 is an honorable mention. Another honorable mention must go to Hogwarts Legacy. I think this game was absolutely incredible. They had a great combat system that became really diverse, and the fact that you could swap out spells and have your own builds made it great because you could tackle the game your own way. There was great exploration and puzzle solving, and I felt like they just nailed bringing you into that world and bringing that world to life. For me, it lacked a compelling villain, and the story was a little bit bare bones towards the end, but really the experience of the game was just the fun exploration and the characters and some of the side quests and things like that. Really impressive game. I can't wait to see what Avalanche do next. I think they are a very impressive studio after building that game. My next honorable mention is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. This game, I really was hemming and hawing about putting this in the top 5. The only reason it didn't make it in is because there were technical issues upon launch that did kind of affect the experience of playing it. And there was also some issues I had with the story, which didn't really pick up for me until the latter half of the game. However, I found the gameplay really fun. The exploration in particular was amazing. All the platforming and stuff, that was my favorite part of the game. That was really fun throughout. Puzzle solving, looking for little secrets that are hidden, customizing Cal. Great new characters were brought in. There was a little bit of repetitive going back and forth to the same locations. I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish they could have a little bit more variety in locations. Have one hub world that you explore, but the rest of them just be kind of mission centered. But the story picked up so much in the last third, I would say. And some of my biggest highlights of 2023 came from playing that last third. Some incredible moments that really nearly put it into the top 5. But just, I think the long build up to that held it back just a little bit. But man, I cannot wait to see what the third game in this series is going to be like. It's a day one purchase for me. But now getting into my own personal top 5 of 2023. And again, these are only of the games that I played in 2023. I didn't play everything. And it's my own personal taste. So you might not see some games here that maybe you want to see, but let us know your own top 5 in the comments or by getting in touch. Make sure you're subscribed and following the podcast. But my number 5 spot goes to Dead Space Remake. I didn't even finish this game. And it was like the first game of the year I played, like back in January. I borrowed it from Eric, my brother. And I played as much of it as I could. And I didn't get to finish it. And I still want to finish it. But I cannot, like, all year round, this game stuck with me. The audio design, the graphics, it's so immersive and it's so incredible, and this team nailed this remake. They did it perfectly where it feels so familiar, it's really faithful, but they moved just enough little bits and enough little small changes to keep you on your toes, that even if you're familiar with the original game, you're not 100% certain what's going to happen next. And even in anticipating what's about to happen, if they move it slightly or change it slightly, it puts you on a new edge. They nailed this remake. And what they did actually was create the best Dead Space game. I'm not joking. If you can only play one Dead Space game, this remake is the one to play. Now, obviously, they had the blueprint to follow, right? An amazing team before did the work in creating one of the best horror survival games of all time. And this team took that and made it even better. And I think it's the definitive Dead Space experience. It is so good. They improved on things like the anti-gravity and all that stuff. The gameplay feels a little bit more fluid. They added in little clever things where you have to make certain choices. There's little side missions. And they added in the voice acting for Isaac, which makes him more of a character and less of just like a sort of a puppet for you to control. He reacts to things now. It is an amazing, amazing game, and they deserve all the credit for it. At spot number 4, big year for horror, Alan Wake 2. Now, I had no real anticipation or excitement for this game in the lead up to it, and to tell you the truth, when I started it, I wasn't crazy on it. But the more I got into it, this game weaved its way into my brain, and I could not stop thinking about it when I wasn't playing it, and then I was hooked. Absolutely hooked. And when I finished it, I was still thinking about it. So many crazy things happen in the game. It's a visual treat. It's absolutely terrifying. They nailed that. But there's also just really clever stuff going on in the writing that makes you wonder, wait, did any of this even happen? What is going on? I love the way it ended. We do have a spoiler cast for it. Maybe check that out if you want more in-depth thoughts. But yeah, Alan Wake 2, an incredible game. Sign me up for the next game. I want to see what happens next. So those two possibly move around a lot. To be honest, I could nearly swap those two out with any of the other 3 honorable mentions. They're the ones that will move around a lot, but my top 3, consistent. Absolutely will not move. At spot number 3, Sea of Stars. I absolutely love this game. I love the artwork. I loved the turn-based gameplay and the kind of timing aspect to the battle system. I loved the music. The music was the best score in a game I heard this year. And it was a really fun and emotional story filled with whimsical characters, darker moments, and a kick-ass boss fight as the final boss. My only gripe with the game at all is that when it ended, I didn't realize that was the final boss. When it started, I thought this was like a boss before the final boss, and then it sort of ended abruptly. Now, I know if you're a completionist, there's a true ending if you do all the completion stuff. I haven't got around to doing that yet, but just as a first-time playthrough, I was left a little bit like, oh, that's the end? But the journey up to it, fucking incredible. I would definitely play Sea of Stars again the whole way through. I absolutely loved this game. I thought it felt like I picked up a classic that I missed out on as a kid, and I finally got the buzz on why this game is a classic, even though it was only just made and came out last year. Incredible. At spot number 2, which is nearly tied with spot number 1, but for me, spot number 1 edges out ever so slightly. Just ever so slightly. But spot number 2 is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. What a fucking game. Absolutely incredible. One of the best PS5 experiences, I think, for just the incredibly fast loading, if you do any of the fast travel, for the incredible speed with the web swinging and the web wings, which are an absolute game changer that I never knew I wanted in a Spider-Man game, and now I don't want them gone. The way they balanced Miles and Peter playing as the two Spider-Men was absolutely incredible. The gameplay is so fun. Like, whether you're doing a mission or whether you're just swinging around and stopping a crime in progress, it is so fun to just put on and just play. Collecting suits, changing suits, all that stuff. As well as a great story that, admittedly, I've said before, for me, falls off in the final act. But everything in the lead up to that, absolutely incredible. And my gaming highlight of 2023 is in Spider-Man 2. I won't go into it here, but we do have a spoiler cast. That's one that we did do at Last Call Gaming, actually. Mr. Craig Perales joined us. And I share there my gaming highlight of 2023. I thought there's moments in this game that are so expertly crafted. It is incredible and so fun to play. But my number 1 spot goes to Resident Evil 4 Remake. Much like the Dead Space remake, a lot of the blueprints were already there. But it's not fair to just say, oh, well, you know, all they had to do was copy and paste that and make it look prettier. Because they did more than that. And they moved things, and they changed things, and they took what is considered one of the greatest games of all time, and in my personal opinion, made it even better, and created the best Resident Evil game to date. It balances the horror, the cheesiness, the action. It does it all really, really well. It is beautiful. Like, the graphics and the character models are incredible. It was the most polished game I played this year. Of all the games I played, this was the one that had 0 glitches for me. It was a seamless experience. It played so well. The gameplay, the gunplay is so fun. The exploration is great. And yet they were able to maintain like such a incredible balance that they maintained with how fun the gameplay is, but how scary the game is too. Like, you really are on the edge of your seat, and you're dreading what's coming next. They had some incredible boss fights, but then when you look at the whole package, not that I've experienced this myself, but you know, they added the VR mode as a free mode if you have a PSVR 2. But outside of that, you've got Separate Ways, which was absolutely incredible and added a whole new experience. It was way better than the original Separate Ways, and it added in stuff that maybe you felt was missing from the Leon campaign in terms of your knowledge of the original. Some of that stuff is in Separate Ways, and and Ada is so fun to play as, and she's got a gimmick that no one else has, which makes her a really fun character to control. Then you've got the Mercenary mode, which is just another fun arcade mode where you can play as different characters and take on enemies and just jump into that for fun. And it was a lengthy enough campaign in the main game. And you've got all the collectibles, you know, getting new costumes, character models, artwork, doing the stuff with the merchant, the shooting range. Like, there is so much to do in this game, as well as it being an incredibly crafted journey throughout, that for me didn't lose its pacing and doesn't fall off really at any point. And even like the final boss was an incredible final set piece. The game ends amazingly, and I can't wait to see what Capcom do next in terms of their Resident Evil remakes. I think they've been on an absolute winning streak with Resident Evil since 7, where they kind of rebooted their image, I think, especially after 6. When they created 7 and really embraced the horror again, ever since then, they have nailed each game that they have put out. Absolutely incredible. And for me personally, my favorite game of 2023 of the ones that I've played. But now, guys, I would love to hear from you. Look back on 2023 and let us know what were your top 5 games from one of the greatest years in gaming history. If you're watching YouTube, jump down in the comments to share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this, please give a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell for all future content. To those who listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twixter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on the top 5 games of 2023. Remember, these were just my top 5. Please tell me why I'm wrong. Please tell me what your top 5 are. And I look forward to another amazing year of gaming. Make sure you follow the podcast. We will have our weekly episodes starting very soon. And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.